a 2, a 3, a 4.
We are Movie Menu Reviews. In the podcast of life, we review new movies and discuss movie news just to entertain you with our special guests that come week to week. This is your show, Movie Menu. Yeah! Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Munoz, back this week after hiatus from last week's episode. Yeah. Thank you, Mike, Z, and Corey for holding the fort down. Joining me this week we have two special guests. We have Mike, not to be associated with my co-host, Mike Stan. And then we also have our Disney extraordinaire expert, Heather McLane.
Hey.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much if you're watching us live on Facebook. We appreciate it. Or if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, thank you so much. So we have a lot of movie news to discuss this week as Comic-Con just passed, as well as a couple trailers that were dropped. So we wanted to go into that before we go into our movie review. So first thing first, let's go ahead and discuss the trailer for Jinsana Bob reboot. What did you guys think about the trailer? So we saw the Red Band trailer. It's basically a reboot of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which is a parody within itself. What did you guys think about that trailer for this Jay and Silent Bob reboot film?
Unnecessary.
Yes. I actually would have to agree. Most of the time I was thinking, like, why are we watching this? I am a Jay and Silent Bob fan. I do enjoy their films, but I feel like, I guess, it's more progressively less entertaining since the last one, because I didn't like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back at all. What about you guys? Have you seen any of Jay and Silent Bob movies, Heather? What do you think?
I mean, they were fun. It's good stuff. I don't know how I feel about this, actually. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna check it out and then decide then.
Wait, so I thought the whole purpose of a reboot was to recast new people as existing actors, not to just have like the same people play the same characters.
Good point.
But that's true. But the original, the Blunt Man and the comic book characters that are within the movie, those characters are being rebooted. But yes, it's funny that and it could be that eventually this film, because Jason Mewes' character, Jay, has a daughter, and it seems like she has a deaf friend who is silent. So maybe they will be the new Jay and Silent Bob by the end of the film.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So maybe I spoiled it already if I start watching it.
Hopefully. I hope so. I hope you did. That way we don't have to. Yeah.
So only one way to find out is to watch it when it comes out. Will you guys be... So Heather, you mentioned you'll be checking it out. Mike, will you be checking it out?
I guess.
I thought you
were talking to me, but no, I will not be watching it.
What about you,
I mean,
Mike?
maybe if it came on like basic television, not even Netflix or cable or anything, just basic television.
So if there's nothing better to do, you're going to check it out?
Yep.
Okay.
And what about you, Mike Stand?
You could just call me Stand. Just call me Stand, or Jay, or Silent Bob.
Yay!
I think, I don't know. I haven't enjoyed a Kevin Smith film in a while. But even though I'm a big fan of him, I think the biggest thing I've enjoyed of him is just when he's talking for a very long time.
Which he does a lot.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So
we've gone to several screenings.
Yeah, and he's like super entertaining. Like he reminds me of, I don't know if you ever seen like Monster in the Box with like Spalding Gray. Like I think Kevin Smith, like his movies should just continue to be with him in front of a microphone. That's it. You know.
And that's it.
Yep, that's it.
I concur.
Or if this movie came out, it would have been great if they recasted it with like, you know, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck
as Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Who would be Jay? Who would be Silent Bob?
It's a good. I think Ben Affleck would be Silent Bob, probably.
Yeah, I agree.
And Matt Damon would be Jay. Yeah.
Well, maybe that would be in the next reboot.
Okay, hopefully.
Let's move on to the next trailer that was dropped at San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend. It was the Tom Cruise-led Top Gun Maverick. So this is a sequel to the original Top Gun Maverick that came out in the 80s. What do you guys think about this trailer?
Well, first I noticed at the end of the trailer when they list the cast, is Tom Cruise like playing everybody in the movie because his name was the only one there.
I think everyone else, because this is technically a teaser trailer. So I think we're gonna find out who else, because I think
Jennifer Connelly was in it.
Jennifer Connelly I think Val Kilmer's in it.
John Hamm. I saw him in there for a second.
And then there's also the guy from one of our favorite movies, Miles Teller. Miles Teller is also in this film. So,
but from that trailer, you wouldn't know who was in it. It just said Tom Cruise, and then it said Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's a trailer, and since Tom Cruise was the one that presented it, they want to make it all about him, which is funny because the movie trailer looks great. The way the camera angles, the cinematography looks amazing, but you have no idea what this movie's about. You're just like, oh, yay, this movie looks awesome, but I don't know, no idea what's it about. But I guess that's what a trailer, teaser trailer is for, just to have cool shots. And then they'll release another trailer and they'll talk about more about the film.
And I'm wondering, there was like a scene with everybody in the bar and someone playing the piano that looked an awful lot like Goose. I'm wondering if that is a flashback or if it's his son, maybe, because I think Goose had a kid.
Yeah, he did.
He died. Or spoilers, sorry. Goose dies.
Yeah, for like a 30-year film. Miles Teller is playing Goose's son.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see. Would you guys check out this film?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I'm going to miss Val Kilmer, but sure.
Now, the next trailer we're going to discuss is a trailer that the internet has blown up about, and that's Cats. Let's talk about the Cats trailer that was released. It's directed by Tom Hooper, who you might remember, who directed The King's Speech as well as Les Miserables, which he did an interesting take on that film, because instead of it being studio recorded vocals, he recorded the vocals live there as the actors were singing and acting live, like if it was in a theater. So now he's taking a different approach for the Cats, where he combines CGI with the cat suits and have them with CGI fur.
Really?
Yeah, it's a little weird, but they did build a lot of practical set pieces, like gigantic set pieces, to give the scale of the humans looking like cat size. So I think he really does like.
Do you think though? I feel like though he kind of quadruple sized it, because they look more like mice size.
Yeah, it is really oversized. I agree, and I really don't know how I feel about the cat fur.
Which is funny, because I had someone, Jamie Alexander, who is a friend of Mike's, a friend to the show. She mentioned she learned something new from watching this trailer. She learned catsuit in Broadway, okay. CGI catsuit, very odd. So
I really agree with that. That's why I'm not sure how I feel about the film, because the trailer's a little off-putting because they look so odd. Like Judi Dench's face looks okay.
No, but Jennifer Hudson, like her face looks so dysmorphic. I don't know.
Yeah, and the cat, like I don't know, their faces don't have any emotions on them, but they look. I don't know. The trailer looked weird to me, so.
But the cast is great, which is interesting. So maybe we shouldn't judge a book by its cover or a cat by its fur, but
no, I think we should do the same thing they did with Sonic and make them, take this back to the drawing board and redo all of the CGI cat fur and cat ears. And
I think for this musical, no one's going to care really. But we'll see. It comes out, I think, November or Christmas time.
December, yeah.
December.
Yeah.
So they have less time than Sonic did, so I doubt they're going to change it. Does this movie, though, inspire you guys to want to go on and watch it?
Well,
No.
I loved Cats. I love the musical itself, so I'm I'm excited to go watch it. I'm really hoping they don't ruin one of my favorite musicals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully not. Because actually, Heather, tell us what is the story to Cats? Because I've never actually seen the musical yet.
So there's a tribe of cats called the Jellicle Cats, and they meet every year, and the leader is supposed to choose a cat to ascend to, I forget where, but he's gonna like move on and basically reincarnate to a new life.
That's the plot?
Pretty much, yeah. But then there's just like you meet different characters, and they're going to the Jellicle Ball. That's like their meeting. But it's mostly about the characters. It's not so much the story.
It's based on a T.S. Eliot poem, or I believe, or like a little short story. It's called like the Possum Book and the Cats or something. Have you read the T.S. Eliot story?
Nope, don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what Cats is based on.
Oh, okay.
The T.S.
Learn
Eliot.
something new.
Yeah. Andrew Lloyd Webber was the one that adapted that story into the musical of Cats. So,
I mean, the music is great. That's what it's about, is the music and the choreography and the original, Broadway show. So, and it sounds like the music they did a great job with. So it could still work.
The choreography is the same choreographer as Hamilton, so that should be interesting to watch, at least, hopefully. People are comparing this movie to The Island of Dr. Monroe.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So, whether it's a family film or a horror film, I guess I'm going to go check it out and watch it. I dig musicals. And so next up we're going to talk about is MCU Phase 4. So, Marvel Studios went to Comic-Con and they had a lot of news to cover. So they announced 5 new films within Marvel Phase 4 and a potentially 6th one with another film, which we'll talk about. The first one is Black Widow, which comes out May 1st, 2020. Eternals, which comes out November 6th, 2020. The third one is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, February 21st, 2021. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, May 7th, 2021. Thor, Love and Thunder, November 5th, 2021. And they also had Mahershala Ali come out on stage and announce that he is the new Blade. Whether it was a film for theaters, a film for Disney Plus, because they also mentioned a lot of the TV shows for Disney Plus on the Marvel panel, is yet to be heard or confirmed. So we'll see on that. But what do you guys think about this lineup for Phase 4?
I think it's interesting that Phase 4 is only 2 years.
Yeah, Kevin Feige came out saying that Phase 4 was only going to be 2 years. But they also mentioned about like Black Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3, Captain Marvel 2, but that's not included in Phase 4. So there was an article that came out that said that those films will be part of Phase 5. So they're going to take 2 phases to assemble. Then they'll have the Avengers. Also, Fantastic Four was mentioned, and bringing in mutants as well. I think that all would be Phase 5.
Well, I also think it's interesting that they never mentioned Spider-Man 3, whatever that's going to be, because, I think the last Spider-Man did pretty well at the box office.
Yeah. And he's still contractually obligated to do one more film.
Okay.
So do we have to wait for Phase 4 to end before we're going to see any of the movies that we'd heard about before this?
Yeah, you mean like Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2?
And Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, so they're going to do these films. That will be Phase 4. And then there was talks where the next films, that will be Phase 5, which is Black Panther, Captain Marvel, 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is interesting because the last we see Thor, he leaves with Guardians of the Galaxy. So if they're doing Thor 4 with Taika Waititi, where Jane Foster will be the female Thor, I wonder how they're going to incorporate that, because Thor is technically with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, I think I read that they're going to lean heavily on Jason Aaron's run of comics. So I don't know if they're going to follow it exactly, but I guess that's how she's going to become Thor.
Right.
But
do you want to explain it to those who don't know the comics?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that much, but I think there was a big Marvel event.
Yeah, it was the
oh God, I can't remember the name of it. It was the one the Watcher died.
The Worthy.
No, before that, it was the one when Nick Fury. It was something with Nick Fury and the Watcher got killed, and they were investigating his death. And then Nick Fury told Thor something. He whispered something at Thor's ear, and Thor became unworthy. And then sometime in that time frame, Jane Foster became Thor. They kind of explained it in Jason Aaron's run, but I didn't read the whole thing, so I don't know exactly how she became Thor. But I know she had cancer, and then every time she used the hammer, the chemo stopped. So she was basically killing herself every time she became Thor. And then eventually she ended up dying or not dying. I don't know. The run was pretty long, so I haven't read the whole thing yet. So,
so that should be interesting. And then the Eternals, which I'll go into a little more details. The cast is pretty amazing. Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, Lauren Ridloff, which will be the first deaf Marvel hero, Brian Tyree Henry, Leah McHugh, who will play Sprite. She will be the youngest ever Marvel hero. Don Lee, who you may know from Train to Busan, and Angelina Jolie ends the cast for that. What do you guys think about the casting for the Eternals?
Yeah, it looks like a fun casting.
Very diverse.
Well, I think if you look at any of the like Eternals like drawings, Angelina Jolie kind of looks exactly like them. So perfect casting. No.
And the director for this film is Chloe Zhao, who I believe will be the first solo female director, because Captain Marvel had a female director paired up with a male director. So this would be
Black Widow has a female director.
Right, but this comes out before, no? Or
no,
maybe Black Widow.
Black Widow's first.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Black Widow's first. So, nice. So, Phase 4, they will have more female directors. What do you think about round out for... As well as they have Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, which will be... Awkwafina will be in this film. What do you guys think about predominantly Asian cast for Marvel, that superhero film?
Well, I mean, I don't think they could do it any other way. Like,
well, they had the Mandarin before.
Yeah, but
and the ancient one. So,
okay, so those I'm not gonna justify those, but again, I kind of think that ancient one thing is a title, not like a person. So it goes to the next person. Like the Sorcerer Supreme is a title, but anyway, I think that it's going to be interesting, because especially we get to find out more about like the actual 10 rings and not like just a passing nod in like Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 and then the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3. So, right,
which I'm looking forward to. I think I'd heard of Shang-Chi before, and he's a pretty cool martial artist. Also, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will reunite Doctor Strange with Elizabeth Olsen, who were in Infinity War and Endgame. So what did you guys think about that tie-in? Do you like Scarlet Witch?
Not in the MCU.
No?
No, I mean, I think she's just there. Like, she just exists in the movies.
I think she's pretty badass.
But I like the fact that they're going to explore the multiverse. I mean, I don't know if you guys... Did you guys do a Spider-Man one?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how Mysterio says he's from, like, the multiverse, and then it turns out it's all fake? So I'm glad that they're actually going to explore, like, the idea of, like, the multiverse.
Which I wonder if that's how they're going to bring in the mutants.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So we'll see. And then Black Widow finally will be getting her solo film, which has a pretty great cast as well. So I think they're doing Phase 4 pretty well. And like I said, Blade as well. And then we talked about Thor already. So even though it's only 2 years, I feel like they're going to be kicking or releasing a lot of good films, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And Scarlett Johansson's staying Black Widow, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's good because she put in all that work and she finally gets her own movie, so.
About time.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask a question, and we had posed it in our Facebook as well. And if you could have anyone wield Thor's hammer in the movieverse, who would be worthy, who would you guys pick? And I asked you that question, so you had some time to think about it, like 2 minutes. While you guys think about it some more, unless you're ready to answer, I was going to list off a couple of people who had answered on our Facebook page.
Sure.
So we had we had Patrick Hogan. Hey, Patrick.
Hey.
He had mentioned Princess Leia. Jesus Rodriguez mentioned Vision and Captain America, which they have wielded the Thor hammer. Chris Gooch, he said Charlie Brown in the Peanut Cinematic Universe.
The PCU.
Michael Hill said Captain Picard and Data. And Johnny Lee Heck said HR Puffin Stuff. Heather, who would you pick?
I really was thinking about like the pure of heart thing, so I was thinking about Luna Lovegood.
Oh, that'd be great.
She's like the purest being in the Harry Potter universe. She's just herself.
That would be a very interesting Thor.
She'd get distracted a lot.
Mike?
I'm going to say Storm.
Oh, Storm. And what about you, Mike Stein?
I'll say it was a tie between two characters. So I was going to say Aragorn or Strider from Lord of the Rings. I thought that would be pretty good. And then, but then I couldn't help but think of Johnny Five in Short Circuit as a super innocent character. I thought that would be fun to. But then he has like death lasers out of his eyes, so maybe not.
Maybe not. He is alive.
He is alive. Yes.
I was thinking Mike Myers from
Michael Myers from Halloween.
No,
that's what I thought he meant.
What is it? Wayne's World.
Oh, Wayne. Wayne
but then he says we're not worthy, so he probably can't do Thor. So I pick Falkor from the Neverending Story.
Yeah,
I think that'd be the Luck Dragon. He's pure.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good. I don't know how. Like it'll be like little tiny like hammer inside his mouth, but I think he could already do so much without it. But good point, Dan.
Thank you. We have quite a few comments, but I'll go over just a couple because I wasn't able to look at them. Let's see. Michael Hill says that Maverick is about fighter pilots. Shauna Gary mentioned that that's what it really is. It's just Top Gun, no story, just nostalgia.
Yeah, good point for sure.
And Michael Hill says, boo, Phase 4 is a bunch of TV shows. Boo, Doctor Strange and Thor are the only movies that sound interesting. Disagree with you 100%. I think Phase 4 is going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and move on to the review for Lion King.
Movie menu.
Okay, the film that we're reviewing is The Lion King, directed by Jon Favreau, written by Jeff Nathanson, story by Breda Chapman, Irene Mechie, Jonathan Roberts, and Linda Wolverton. Excuse me, here's the plot. After the murder of his father, a young lion prince flees his kingdom only to learn the true meaning of responsibility and bravery. Starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, John Oliver, James Earl Jones, Alfie Woodard, Keegan-Michael Key, Eric Andrade, Penny Johnson-Gerald, Seth Rogen, Billy Eichner, Beyonce, and Donald Glover. All right, guys, we have all seen this film, so we should all decide if this movie's worth a dine and watch it in theaters, take out, wait and watch it at home, or leftovers, fall off a cliff and get eaten by a bunch of hyenas rather than watch this film.
Gotcha.
All right, guys, since Heather and Mike, you both are guests, you guys have the opportunity to win a point if you win the argument. So if you get up to 10 points, you can go ahead and do a segment of your choosing that's movie related on our show. Free range, as long as it's movie related. That's the only way. Or you could turn it in for like horchata food or something. That Z will buy you.
Thanks, Z.
On that note, let's go ahead and rate this film. Heather, as our Disney expert, you can go first.
I'm going to say, big surprise here, dine in and watch it in 3D also.
Mike?
Leftover.
Wow.
Ooh.
All right.
Mike Stein?
It was a dine-in for me as well. I did see it in 3D, so I enjoyed it.
I also saw it in 3D and in IMAX. So
wow, 3D and IMAX.
And you just saw it like not too long ago.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with a soft dine-in.
Okay.
A dine-in, but with a caveat.
Okay.
And I saw that someone had mentioned. Sean said, "Lion King side, please tell me it was worth the watch. I'm so tired of being disappointed by these remakes." Michael Hills, it's 96% shot for shot the same, and that's a good thing. The main thing, and I'm sure this is probably why you have a problem with it, Mike. My main problem with the film is that they try to make it so realistic in the sense where when the animals are communicating, they don't have facial reactions compared to what the animated movie was. So it looks very resting bitch face and emotionless. And it's kind of like hard to suspend disbelief on that because they're already talking, but for them to not show any type of emotions at all, really, is not as powerful as when you were a kid watching the animated series, when you see a Mufasa die, and you see the tears and the sadness within Simba. So it didn't have the same impact. But the nostalgia of this film is quite incredible. Like when this first started for me, I had like an emotional, like, brought back into the world of Pride Rock and all that. What did you guys think?
I was mostly bored through the whole movie. It seemed like a Disney nature documentary. There was like just way too much going. Well, and I guess people liked that it was like semi shot for shot, but like you said, there was no emotion in it. Like even when Mufasa died, I was just like, oh, well, he just died, so the movie's almost like 3/4 of the way done. I don't know. I just didn't, but I don't know. And then Beyonce, like none of the actors could emote in the movie. Even James Earl Jones came off as like kind of stiff and like they all seemed like they were just reading lines from a paper versus like actually engaging in like the story. So that was my biggest problem with the movie.
So Michael, the comment says, animals don't have face muscles. What do you want? That's what I was saying, if you were listening. That was the issue with this film, was that they try to make it realistic so that animals don't have facial reactions to what they're saying. It's hard to remove the disbelief of suspension of disbelief when they're talking, but yet they're not emoting with their face. That is the issue with the film. So go on.
Then my other issue too is that there were scenes that were, I don't know, they were made in the animated movie that didn't make it into this movie, and then they added scenes, and then that new Beyonce song was like weird. It didn't make sense for that Beyonce Spirit song to be in the movie when the rest of the movie they're actually singing those songs, and then her song just plays over like this wide shot, and I was like, wait, what? Like they're not going to sing the song in the movie? Like it just, there was a lot of stuff about the movie that just didn't add up to seeing it. Like I would have rather have seen the original, like them re-releasing the original than this one.
Now, have you guys seen the musical version?
Yeah, I seen it when it was in New York.
So in the musical version, they add the scene where there's like Scar is trying to get with Nala in the musical scene.
Yeah.
I would have preferred something like that to make Nala more of a a character than
his
mother.
And then it also would have made more sense when she's sneaking away if he was like interested in her, because then he's like watching her. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someone else can talk about why they liked it, because I just had issues with the movie. Just overall, to me, I just thought it was a boring movie. So,
Corey, who was our guest last week, says, "Well, they can't speak either. If you're gonna have them talk, then have them have facial expressions." Good point, Corey. Yeah. So, Heather, talk about what you really enjoyed about this film, and you recommended watching it in 3D.
Yeah, well, it was a really beautiful film.
The CGI is incredible.
It is. It did really feel like a nature documentary, but like visually, it was. I don't know if I was just so buried in nostalgia, but that was actually one of my problems. Was it's hard not to compare every single moment to the original.
Now, did you wish they would have done what they did with Aladdin? Now, Aladdin was basically the same film, but they added like other elements to it, like Jasmine being, the Sultan as well, having like that female undertone. Do you think they should have added something like, and then in Beauty and the Beast, they added like Belle's mother and father story?
I think.
Do you think they should have added like another plot point? No,
I think to me, also this is another thing too, and maybe this has to do with like the nostalgia, and also like I had just seen the other movie like within the last 3 or 4 months. The singing on this movie did not add up to the singing in the original. Like
Scar's song was super disappointing. I'm gonna say that. I was incredibly disappointed.
I was disappointed too, because I remember in the original, it's almost like watching like the Nazis.
Like marching,
yeah.
But the song was just he didn't even really sing most of it. He talked most of it like a dictator. Speech,
Idris Elba is not really a singer.
Well, Scar did kind of talk it in the original too, but I think that I think that when you disconnect like the fact that this was so photorealistic versus the animation, they can do things with characters' faces that make the movie come off like. The animated movie come out better. I don't know. I just didn't like. I don't think that any person in this movie sang the songs as well as the original. So that was also one of the issues for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I mean, I had so much fun watching it. I thought it was gorgeous, and they kept pretty much to the same dialogue. They changed a little bit, just enough to be a tiny bit different. I really liked the new little scene they added where Nala is trying to escape, which it kind of fills in that little hole of her going off and she runs into Simba. There's a little bit more with Sarabi, the mom.
Yeah.
And I really love that Zazu defended Nala, stuck up for her. He was a little more important to the plot in this film. Because, like, even when when they all get back to Pride Rock, Zazu is there with them instead of being a prisoner.
Right. That's true. Also, like, one of my favorite characters is actually Rafiki. And I actually really enjoyed Rafiki in this film. I thought they did. I think that character of all the characters, because especially in the musical, Rafiki is a very important character. And in this version, I felt like Rafiki was utilized just as important, especially when they talk about his past. And but maybe it's just because of nostalgia reasons, but that moment was very emotional as well. I don't know how you guys felt.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Rafiki's character as well. And I was just like just the special effects alone, I couldn't get past that. Like the whole film, like that's all I needed. Maybe, and like I wasn't expecting that much different from the original film, but I do agree that in comparison of like vocal singing performances, that it wasn't the same, but there were a lot of like subtle details with the animals that I really enjoyed. Like we were talking about like Rafiki. I remember in the original, like he has a staff the whole time. And I like enjoyed that he's just limping around most of the time. And then like he does this, like I remember him doing like he does something with bones or something like that in the original, or is it bones or is it rocks? I don't remember. But in this one, like I don't remember the bug sequence. Is that in the original as well? I know you said you had seen it recently.
No, I remember I think it was Bones that he did it within the little bowl, right?
Yeah. So it's like I felt like they kind of changed up these little details to make it more like animal like. I really enjoyed that. Like even in like the speech, like they like the speech of Rafiki's changed. Like when he's laughing like the way like a primate would laugh. And the same thing with like Zazu. Like when Zazu's talking, like there'd be moments where he would say a character's name and he would say it like a bird, like a way like I can't remember who it was, but he was like repeating their name like the way a parrot would. I thought like there were a lot of these like little tiny details scattered around that I really enjoyed.
Or how about how Simba's fur actually got back to Rafiki? It was very Circle of Life.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It went on a whole. We got to see
super
the
fun.
whole journey.
Yeah, that was great.
The whole poop.
Yeah, I actually thought for a second that Rafiki was going to pick up the poop because, monkeys play with poop. So I was like, oh, he's going to go play with that's how he's going to find the hair. But like,
you'd have like nodded his head and then threw it at somebody.
I think also another thing is that I feel like what Whoopi Goldberg did with the hyenas in the original was better than what they did with them in this movie.
Yeah, the hyenas were kind of like, meh.
Like they were kind of an afterthought to me. Like it was just like, oh, they were in the original, so let's just put them back in this one.
In the original, the hyenas weren't scary to me. Like they weren't really actually threatening. They were funny. In this, I feel like they were more realistic. Well, or they were more dangerous.
But they try to still add some humor, which the humor for me, like Eric Andrade, who was one of the hyenas, and Keegan Michael Key.
Yeah.
Their chemistry was like.
That was weird. It was unnecessary. The whole like you're sitting too close to me and stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah,
it was unnecessary.
Didn't work. But I did like when like the hyenas would chase after Simba. You hear like their mouth chomp.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Pretty cool
to hear. Let's talk about also like the visual of Pride Rock and the whole Africa plain, and then going into the jungle. How was the landscape as well? Because it's everything there CGI basically. What did you guys think?
I thought that they could have taken more time. Like I don't know. I feel like in the original, like they did these sweeping shots, and it was like, I don't know. Maybe it was like slower because they had to draw them slower. But in this one, it was just like, okay, Simba's in the little valley, then he's in the like desert for like 2 seconds, and then he's like meeting Timon and Pumbaa. Then they're in the jungle, and I just remember the other one just being like a longer transition.
Which is funny because this movie is 2 hours long.
Yeah, it
and
is.
The original one is not 2 hours long.
It just
for an animated movie. The only thing is, the reason why I give this a sci-fi name because it's a movie I think it's worth going to the theaters to watch it. I think the spectacle of it is really good. It is a shot-for-shot remake, but the thing is, Lion King, just like Beauty and the Beast, were both nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars for its visual effects and for its like story and everything. And I do not think this movie will be nominated for Best Special. Best Picture.
I'm surprised. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say for not nominated for Best Special.
No,
effects.
Best Picture. Like this will not be nominated for Best Picture.
Got it. I think this will definitely be nominated for Best Special Effects.
Yeah, special effects. Yeah, but it won't be. I don't think it doesn't have like that oomph.
It doesn't have the same heart.
Right.
It looks so.
It's so great. It's so fun. Like I still had an emotional reaction to it, but I think it was more of the nostalgia factor, and like I felt like I was 10 years old again, or however it was when it came out.
For me, I feel like if they had just used the actual voice tracks from the original on this, I would have enjoyed it better. But I didn't like any of the actors. Like that's what it boils down to me.
Gotcha.
Like I didn't like any of the actors playing the characters.
What about not Timon or Pumbaa, Billy Eichner or Seth Rogen? What about you guys? How do you guys think about Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen?
They were really fun, and it's hard though. It's hard because we do have such a love for the original that it was tough for me not to compare every joke, every moment to the original.
I know it's Nathan Lane as Timon, like
and
with Billy Eichner.
It was so perfect. The original was so perfect. It is tough, but I think there were some really fun things. I enjoyed John Oliver. I had fun with Timon and Pumbaa. I think they did a great job. I think they made it their own just enough. Because it's hard. I mean, how do you live up to that? I mean, how do you you have to try to take this thing that's so perfect and so cemented in the minds of everyone and try to redo it. You have to try to make it your own a little bit.
But that's what you do when you decide to remake something that is so beloved. You take that on automatically. So
yeah.
Okay, so this is like speaking of like Timon and Pumbaa. So there were like two things that like I didn't really like about the two characters. So there's this scene where, remember when they go back to the hyenas in the animated, and then like they have that little song. Yeah, so that wasn't in the movie, and I was like, okay, why wasn't that in there? And then the other thing too is that when he called Pumbaa fat or chubby in this movie, like.
They call me Mr. Big.
Yeah. So Seth Rogen did not bring any emotion to that scene that made you like the way Nathan Lane did, and like in the original where you're just like, okay, like I don't know, I just love the scene in the original, and then this one was like, oh, they just had to hit the notes, so it was like they just put that in there because they had to hit that scene.
Right. It wasn't Nathan Lane who played Pumbaa though.
It was I'm sorry, who was the other guy? It was
a character actor.
It's funny we only remember Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did miss that. But it's cute they did the nod to Beauty and the Beast.
On which part?
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Because they sang they started to sing
Be Our Guest.
Be Our Guest.
Oh,
instead of doing the I can't remember what it is, but it's like
I think I missed that part.
Yeah, no, he's
were you sleeping?
No, Timon like starts speaking French to them.
Yeah, it's like right when they
that's right.
When they're the distraction.
Got you. Okay.
So yeah, it's very hard to miss that.
I totally missed that.
And there's the classic "I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts."
Do you guys remember that? What did you guys think about Donald Glover and Beyonce's chemistry together? What did you guys think about that? I know, Mike, you mentioned you didn't like any of the voice actors. What about the rest of you? What do you think about those leads, Donald Glover and Beyonce?
I was too busy staring at the fur and like, wow.
Yeah. That's like the whole movie. I was like, oh my god.
So like like I said, they started from the bones to the to the muscles, to the skin, to the hair.
Also, like, so
it's amazing.
Jon Favreau directed this film. There are people who are so much purists. They say that this is not a live action version of Lion King because it's all still CGI. Do you guys agree with that comment?
I've had trouble with that this whole time. I think it's weird to call it live action because there's not a single live
human.
Yeah, there's nothing live about it. Even if they had used like film, like parts from a nature documentary and like filled it in, obviously you can't make them talk, but
I mean, I don't have an issue with calling it live action because it looks photorealistic. So
it totally does, absolutely.
So the original Pumbaa voice is Ernie Sabia.
Okay.
So just
that guy
for correction. How did you feel about Mufasa's death in this one?
I told you when it happened, I was just like, oh, we're like 3/4 of the way through the movie. Like, I didn't feel any emotion. I didn't feel emotionally tied to this Mufasa than I was to the animated one.
What about the rest of you?
The moment James Earl Jones started talking, I was totally invested because it was the same voice. They couldn't have cast anyone else.
Yeah, I'm happy that he reprised his role. That was great.
But I was with Michael, and the second he started talking, I like put my hand on his leg. I was like, oh,
I know. I know. When I was watching, I'm like, they're really gonna make us go through this again. But I didn't tear up either. I wasn't too emotionally sad about it like I was in the original, but I guess that's that goes to say. Could
it have been? It's hard because you've already seen the Lion King. You've already seen the first Lion King. Like, I don't know if it could ever affect you the same way that it had when you first saw it. Really, you know what I mean?
Does the animated film still get you?
It still gets me. Like his death in the animated still gets me.
So when they excuse me, when they did Circle of Life, like I was a mess watching it. I was like, crying. So yeah, the film can still get you. It's just that the moment itself. Also, I like the fact that they did the same shot where you see Simba say no and they zoom out the camera really fast, but they didn't do that with the wildebeest coming down. And there's a shot where the wildebeest are coming down and they zooms in real quick to Simba. I wish that shot had been in there but then in that scene Simba is reacting and our Simba can't really react too much. So.
Yeah,
got you.
So
okay,
I think it all relied on Simba's reaction because Simba is the one that is what makes you want to cry.
That makes sense.
And in this version, because Simba is not emoting as much,
I see.
It's not the same.
Yeah, and they could have. It's interesting because I think in the animated, right, he like tugs on his ear, like he grabs his ear and he. Pulls
he did
on
that
it.
in here. He did that one in this one.
Did he?
Yeah, when he got on top of him, it was the ear that was up. So you know how he was laying on his side.
Yeah.
He tugged on the other ear before he went down to lay in his like in the nape of his neck.
I guess I missed it because I was like.
It was like
moment.
It was like I remember it lasting longer in the animated, but it was like because I looked for that scene, so it was something like super quick, like a really quick, and then he just lay there. So.
Yeah, they did like even in how it's shot, it's the shot is like very far away. Was it like that in the original as well, where like you see the dead Mufasa and Simba, and they're both really small in this remake. Like for a while. It's a really like long shot.
No, I think in the original they kind of zoomed in. I don't know. Maybe Disney didn't want to show like live animal. Well, photorealistic animal death like that or something. Maybe that's why they didn't want to zoom in.
Yeah, it seemed like they were trying to be real. They weren't like really pulling on the heartstrings in that scene. I wonder if that was like an intentional thing or.
Yeah. Well, I've seen discussion on the internet where it's ridiculous, but this like. People are talking about how they shouldn't be taking kids to see this movie because they have to like be traumatized by Mufasa's death.
Oh my God!
We were all traumatized when we were kids.
Yeah.
So why are we doing it to the next generation? So maybe that was taken into account and it was emotionally softened. I don't know. But they did. I don't know if you noticed, but Scar had a little bit of blood on his jaw when he was eating that antelope.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
I was like, all right.
Speaking of Scar, what did you think about his look in this film compared to the original, where he had his black mane and he just was like a regular emaciated lion in this one?
I liked it. He looked like his hair was like cut. I don't know if it was like cut, but it was like how like Simba and Mufasa's hair was like longer. His was like cut shorter and like kind of uneven. I don't know. I like the way Scar looked.
His face looked cool, but his body bugged me. That was like the one creature in this movie that just, I don't know if it was like an uncanny valley moment where it just never felt quite right to me. I was most disappointed with Scar, and maybe because there was no emotion, and his song is super awesome in the animated, and it was just bleh in this.
Okay.
Yeah. Though Scar's song always, I never really liked listening to it.
Really, it's awesome. It's
such
a good villain song.
Probably because they always scared me as a kid. So I'm just like, no. And
this movie got to me emotionally. Again, maybe nostalgia, but I cried a lot during this movie. Just like everything made me cry. I knew it would.
How did you guys like the way they tackled Mufasa's cloud? Whereas in the original, it was actual Mufasa as a cloud. But it was a cloud, and you didn't see Mufasa until the lightning struck. And you see a glimpse of Mufasa. How did you think that interpretation in this film worked compared to the original?
See, I would have liked it if there were more lightning flashes, but there was just the one where it actually looks like Mufasa. The rest of it is like the clouds were just kind of forming while he's talking. If maybe there were more flashes, I would have liked it. But I mean, I thought like this scene was a good scene. Like not what was happening, like not listening to it, but like watching like the clouds and everything. I thought it was a pretty decent scene.
Strange weather we're having.
Yeah.
I missed that line too.
What did you think?
What did I think?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was cool. I think it was.
Was it effective or not effective?
I think you're right, Mike. It could have been a little bit more, but I think they were trying to go with the super realism. So I feel like it worked with the tone of the rest of everything else.
And Stand?
Yeah, I liked James Earl Jones's vocal performance in that one. It was like, oh yeah, That is James Earl Jones. that part. So.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool thing. Though I wish there were also more lightning that reflect Mufasa.
That was like super cool. Like when you see the stars and the trees, like just seeing all of that in 3D, and they have this like it looked like a nature documentary where it's like a what is it called, a time lapse?
Yeah.
Where it's like the star, like a time lapse of the stars moving across the sky,
and the trees like shaking a little bit from like a breeze, and
So I thought that was super cool. It was fun to see that scene.
See, I feel like maybe that was my mistake. I saw it in 3D, so maybe if I saw it in 2D, I would have. And I don't know, maybe I would have enjoyed it more.
Interesting.
Like I don't think the movie was like 100% terrible. Like I actually stayed and watched the whole thing. But at the same time, to me, it was kind of unnecessary.
Got you.
So
it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
I just
you guys have to go watch it because it's beautiful.
I just imagine Mike with his arms crossed going, "The original's better." like after every scene.
Like it's a beautiful movie, but I mean, I kind of need more than just looking at a beautiful movie. Like, if I'm just gonna be bored, I can just watch like Planet Earth on like Netflix or something, because that's kind of what it reminded me of. So,
got it. Okay.
I love Planet Earth.
I know. I was watching Planet Earth the other day, and I was like seriously concerned because I was worried about the predators and the prey, and it was awful. I was like, "Oh, I feel for both of you."
But that's a good point, though. If you like Planet Earth, you'll probably like The Lion King.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't like it, you probably won't. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Now, does this beg to differ that Disney remakes of their classic films is a good idea, bad idea?
I feel like I'm taking a survey. Or undecided.
Well, I'll say like this
like
one.
Mulan is coming out next.
So,
right? So does this film and the past get you excited for their next remakes of films? I guess actually technically Maleficent, Mistress of Evil is coming out next. But also Mulan is coming out. They're also, I think, going to do The Little Mermaid, right? So does this direction of where they've taken their Disney remakes get you hyped for the next round of films coming out? Or does this movie get you like, why are they ruining my childhood?
I mean, if they're going to be more like Aladdin than this one, then yeah. Because this one was just as bad as Dumbo to me. So I thought this was equally as bad.
I like Dumbo. I think I'm like the only one that liked Dumbo.
Yeah, you were. Sorry, Dan.
I mean, Dumbo was obviously worse, but yeah.
Corey said that Planet Earth should have more facial expressions. Disney should remake live action movies by animating them.
We were talking about that the other day.
Oh, Disney should remake live action movies by animating them. So they just keep on remaking.
So I guess in 17 years we'll have like the Lion King, like another
the computer graphic, like Pixar.
Yeah.
But isn't like old Disney movies, like, isn't Old Yeller a Disney movie technically?
Maybe.
Could you imagine if they animated that? I don't think I'd ever watch it because that movie breaks my
Yeah, but they wouldn't kill the dog on screen because, the precious children. So.
That's very true. And then everyone would just be pissed off that they didn't stick to the original movie.
Well, I don't know about you, but like Marley and Me got me, and they don't kill the dog in that one. The dog, spoiler alert, dies, and you just cry. But anyways, enough of Marley and Me. Let's go back to the Lion King. So back to my question for the rest of you who didn't answer. Does this movie get you hyped for the next remakes?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what they're gonna do next. So I think Jon Favreau was a good choice for this because of the Jungle Book. So it was good to see the Jungle Book now this. So I think of course it depends on which directors and how the cast is for all these other films that are coming out, but but overall I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do next. I guess that's a no.
It's I don't know. I like them and I don't like them. It's tough because
which ones didn't you like?
It's not that I dislike them completely. They've been fun. The remakes have been fun, but it's also why? It's unnecessary.
That's a good point.
That's it's completely unnecessary.
It's unnecessary for our generation, but there's a whole new generation that this will be their first watch.
But why don't they just watch the originals? Like, I love to watch classic movies, like, from the 30s and the 40s.
But we
just watch them.
A lot of these movies we saw in theaters. And a lot of these kids will be watching these films for the first time in theaters.
They have their own movies. It's like you get to share your childhood movie with your kids. Like, my parents showed me stuff. I mean, I grew up watching Turner Classic Movies because that was what they grew up on, what they loved. They shared that with me. I have that. But you could sit at home and watch The Lion King. You could sit at home and watch... I mean, did we watch Dumbo in theaters when we were kids? That movie's old as hell. No. And don't we all still love Dumbo?
But you're saying to watch this film in theaters because of the special effects.
That's what I'm saying. I'm so torn. I don't know what to tell you.
Would you have preferred an anniversary edition where they just re-release it?
They did that a few years ago, and I loved the hell out of that. Okay. I went to the theaters, I think, a couple times to watch The Lion King in theaters.
Or like what AMC is doing with the Studio Ghibli movies, where they just call it Ghibli Fest, but it's really just showing like a Studio Ghibli film like once a month or whatever.
That's awesome too.
They could have done like Disney Fest and then just had like classic movies released like once a month.
People would go watch that in droves. Like, give me your money, I will go watch these movies in theaters. So I still have fun watching them, but I also believe it is completely unnecessary.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense.
But even though they're unnecessary, I kind of want to see that Mulan movie. It actually looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see Mulan as well. Okay, final thoughts, guys. Your final thoughts of this film to persuade us to go to your side.
Well, it's gorgeous. You need to go see it in theaters because of how beautiful it is. And the only advice I can give you is don't let yourself compare every moment. That was my problem while watching it. It's so hard not to compare every single moment, shot for shot. So if you can let yourself just be in the moment watching this one, maybe it'll be worse because that's what happened to you. I don't know. Just go watch it. It's fun.
Mike?
I still stick with don't watch it. I mean, maybe if you have children who've never seen it and you don't own the original, then take them. But I still think that you shouldn't see it. You should just watch the original. Yeah.
Did you give it a takeout or leftovers?
Leftover.
Wow, that's so harsh.
And Mike Stan.
I think if you liked Planet Earth, then watch this in 3D and enjoy the realistic looking fur.
I think it's a good movie to watch in theaters. It's beautiful. Special effects are great. But if you're looking for the original, this is not the original. But it's still a fun ride. So with that said, I think it's 3 against 1. So we're going to go with Diana and watch it in theaters. But if you've seen The Lion King, and let us know what you think in our comments. Let us know if you agree with Mike with Leftovers or with the rest of us for Dine In to watch in theaters. And thank you so much, Mike, for being on the show.
Yeah,
is there anything you want to promote or anything?
No, not really. I mean, I have my own show, but we're inconsistent right now. So it's called Podcast in the Woods. You guys can check us out.
And you're on Apple Podcasts?
Apple, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
Nice.
So
look them up for the past episodes. And Heather, would you like to promote anything?
Yeah, actually. So Eastside Theater Works is about to have their 6th annual Shakespeare in the Park, you guys. We're so excited.
Actually, it should be Shakespeare at the Pond.
It should. Why don't we say that?
We are.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, that's the marketing that we want to do is Shakespeare at the Pond.
Glad someone told me. Shakespeare at the Pond. 6th annual show. We're opening August 16th. It runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 weekends. And it's completely free. Bring your lawn chairs, bring your picnics, bring your kids, bring your pets.
Did you say which Shakespeare show you're doing?
Oh, no.
Or where?
Getting there. We're doing As You Like It we're at the East LA Civic Center. You can just in
Amphitheater.
Google the amphitheater. I type in Belvedere Park Lake to my GPS and it gets me there. So like Google Maps, if you type in Belvedere Park Lake, it will take you to the parking lot. But it's complete free parking. It's a beautiful venue because we're on a lake. We have a moat, you guys. You got to come check it out. Completely free, family friendly. It's going to be a beautiful summer evening. You got to come.
Heather's in the play.
I am. A small character, but really fun. I'm playing an old lady and I carry a big stick.
And I'm doing the sound design for it and the flyer, I guess, maybe. It's at the East LA. It's right next to East LA Library and East LA Courthouse. So if you know where that is, go check it out. It's free.
There's
it
also
should be
a
a fun
Gold
show.
Line stop right there at the Civic Center.
Yeah. And it's free parking. So there's no excuse to not go.
Exactly.
And if you want more information, go to etwla.com. On that note, thank you so much, guys, for being on the show. Thank you, Mike, Stan.
Thank you, Dan.
And my pleasure. I'm Dan the Man Munoz, your host for Movie Menu Podcast. Thank you so much if you're watching us live on Facebook. Thank you. We appreciate it. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to your podcast, thank you as well. Make sure to check out moviemenupodcast.com to find our new featured episodes as well as our interviews. Also check out our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel as well. And you can find that all on our website. So we hope to see you there. Until next time, guys, I say goodbye.
2,
See ya.
4. Movie menu.